Arc Browser is a new internet browser that promises to be an operating system for the internet. It's not just a tool to surf the web, but a workspace to manage your online tasks seamlessly. With alluring features like spaces, boosts, easels, and notes, you're empowered to customize your browsing experience like never before. Its sleek UI, coupled with a multitude of shortcuts, enhances both productivity and organization. Intrigued? Let's explore more to unearth the full potential of this platform. Before we begin, it is important to mention that Arc was originally designed and released only for macOS. Recently, the company also released a version for Windows 11 users, but it does not have all of the functionalities available that its Apple counterpart has. However, I do expect the Windows version to catch up in the near future. Let's now jump into the tool, and first, we'll take a look at the UI. As you can see, Arc offers a more simple and modern UI, at least in my opinion, to other more traditional web browsers. One of the main differences that you will notice is that instead of having your toolbar with your favorites and all your functionalities here at the top, you now have all of that on this little sidebar here on the left side of the screen. You can obviously resize this sidebar to make it bigger or smaller, and you can toggle it on and off with this button here on the top left. When it is off, to bring it back up, all you have to do is simply drag your mouse to the left side of the screen, and that will bring the sidebar back up. Really, this sidebar is going to be how you're interacting with Arc's browser the most, so I'm going to leave it on just for this video. Let's now take a look at some of the more unique functionalities Arc offers. Let's start with spaces. Spaces are distinct browsing areas created to separate different contexts. Imagine spaces as separate desks in your digital office, each dedicated to a different project or area of your life. For example, here I have created three spaces. I have my personal space for all my personal related browsing, which here I have saved my Gmail, my personal Gmail, a news website, and some other articles related to the functionalities of Arc. Then here at the bottom, I can switch to my work space, which notice how I have selected here a different color theme. So now this is blue so that I know I'm working in my workspace. And I have other types of links pinned in this space, like themes, Outlook, and then an article that I'm reading. And then finally, I can jump to my third space, which is the YouTube space. And here I have everything related, or all the links related to this specific channel. I find this feature quite useful as it does tend to keep me kind of in the zone. Let's say, for example, I'm in my 9 to 5 and I don't want to get distracted with anything related to this channel or maybe my personal Gmail. So I tend to work in this space and only use the links that I have pinned here. That way I don't get distracted with anything else. However, I do find that moving between spaces here at the bottom only with these little circles, it's kind of hard. There is a shortcut that you can use. And in the Mac OS version, I think you can assign different icons to a space to make it easier to identify them, and they're a little bigger. So once they have that, hopefully they bring that into the Windows version, and it'll be a lot easier to move between spaces. But overall, I find this feature extremely helpful. I know there's profiles and different things in other web browsers that we can use, but having it all within the single kind of profile without me having to sign in and sign out to different things and just moving between spaces, I think that's very useful. So now let's talk about favorites. Favorites are just like bookmarks in any other web browser. If you remember, you noticed how in each of the different spaces I had different links here pinned at the top, but if you pay close attention, I have other links or apps here at the very top that don't tend to change no matter what workspace I am in. And these are your favorites. So you can save up to 12 favorites in this section. And these are going to be apps that no matter what workspace you are working in, you want to have access to. So for example, here I tend to keep Taskade, which is my productivity application. And if you're interested in learning more about Taskade, you can click the link here in this video, and it'll take you to some videos that I have on this application, which is very cool. But I also tend to keep things like Spotify, YouTube, or these are applications that I tend to have open no matter what workspace or what kind of work I am doing. So let's now talk about pin tabs, which are a very important functionality in Arc. And a pin tab are basically URLs or links that you save or a specific space. For example, here in my personal space, I have saved my Gmail, I have saved this news website, and then I have a folder here with some articles related to ARC's functionality. If I navigate to my work space, I have saved here Microsoft Teams and Outlook as the pin tabs. Basically, any link or URL that you move or drag and drop on top of this gray line will now become a pin tab. So let's say, for example, I have opened up a regular tab and I'm reading, or I'm on this website, which is a browser company. These are the people that created Arc. And let's say I want to pin this browser so that I have access to it quickly, or this URL, sorry. I can simply drag and drop. And now this has become a pinned tab. Now, what's cool about pin tabs is that, let's say I click here on this Newsweek website, and I have pinned the homepage of the website, right? Or I can pin, of course, any other article or specific URL. Let's say I start reading articles, I start clicking, through the different ones. I'm very deep in a rabbit hole, and I lost track, and I want to go back to my actual pinned URL. Now, instead of clicking the back button, I see here that now there's a little slash here in front of my pin tab. This indicates that I have navigated away from my pinned URL. And if I hover over the icon, I see there's a little message that says back to pinned URL. So if I click here, it'll take me back to the pinned URL. Now, obviously, since I pinned the home screen, I know I can do that by just simply clicking on the Newsweek logo. That'll probably take me to the homepage. But if you pinned a particular article, let's say, and you started reading other articles, you navigate away from it, you can simply click the icon of your pin tab, and it'll take you to the pinned URL again. Another cool functionality with pin tabs is what Arc calls peek mode, which is basically not navigating away from this website. Meaning, let's say I'm reading this article and I want to click on a link that will open up a new tab. If I am on a pin tab and I click on a link that takes me outside of that URL, then Arc will open up that link in a peek mode, basically a pop-up window that I can preview, and I can decide to close, to expand, or basically open up in another tab, or open up in split view, which we'll go over later in the video. So I find that very cool, very useful, because if you have pinned something, it means it's important to you and you don't want to navigate away from this particular website. So any link that tries to get you out or tries to switch the URL will open up in this peek view mode. And I'll show you the difference here. If I am here in a tab that's not pinned and I try to click on a link that takes me to a different website, it just opens up in a different tab. Another very cool functionality within Arc is the fact that you can do split view without having to open up two windows or two Arc sessions. So if I click here on this button on the top right, I see the option to add right split or add left split. If I click on add right split, it lets me choose or open up any other website or URL that I want. So in this case, as you can see, I now have the news website and the browser company website here on the right side, and I can add up to 4 splits if I need to. So let's say now I want to do a Google search for productivity apps, right? And that'll open up a Google search here on the right side, and I can add one more for, I don't know, Cascade, right? And that'll open up yet another window. So very neat, very cool that without having to, open up another browser, another session, I can have this split window view. On the Mac OS version, I believe you can drag and drop. Simply if you're on one website and you drag and drop a different URL, it'll open it up in split view. I have not been able to get that to work in Windows. So again, that's another feature that I hope they do implement later in the future for Windows. Next, we have also the mini player functionality. So let's say I am on YouTube, Netflix, or any other website, and I'm watching a video. If I navigate away to a different site, that video goes into a mini player mode, and it keeps playing no matter what website I am visiting. We've seen this with phones and other devices. However, it's cool that it's already kind of a built-in functionality for Arc. So the last three functionalities that I want to touch on, I'm going to do so very quickly since they are not available in Windows yet. But again, I do hope they come, as they are very cool, very neat. So the first one would be the notes. So in the Mac OS version, currently you can go here at the bottom in this plus icon and click on create a new note, and that'll basically open up a note or a workspace where you can type, certain notes, or you can even link it to, for example, your Notion page or a Google Doc, a Confluence page, or a Word document, and add notes directly from your web browser into those programs. And that's very cool because it prevents you from leaving the application. If you need to take a note down for a specific website that you're visiting, then you can do so straight from the app. Next is very similar to Notes, but Arc also has a functionality called Easels, and this basically just opens up, again, kind of a workspace for you to create lists, add images, titles, text, etc. In this example that they have in this YouTube video, I'll put the link in the description. The guy goes over creating an easel for a list of apartments that he's viewing or locations that he's viewing for a vacation. And again, it's basically just a workspace for you to add images, text, etc. If you're doing some research without having to leave the application itself. Next, we have boosts. So this one, it's kind of hard to understand. I would need to play around with it to see how useful it is, but it basically lets you customize the UI or the look and feel of a website that you're visiting. So here in this example, they go into the strategies website, and as you can see, it has a white background, and they start, using this boost functionality to move it and change the color of the background. And you can also change the text and other things just to make it, I guess, more appealing to you. They also show an example of a user. Let me expand these, actually. Close these ones. Yeah, they show an example here of a user changing the font of Twitter. And now every time that you access Twitter, you'll see it in whatever font and whatever background color you choose. Not sure how useful this is, but again, just something cool that I do hope they implement. So there you have it. Those are kind of the more relevant functionalities for Arc browser, which is now available for Windows 11. Again, as you saw in the video, there's a lot of functionalities that are missing, or the Windows version is yet to catch up to the Mac OS version, but hopefully that is something that happens here in the near future. Thank you for watching. Please let me know anything that I can improve, and I'll see you guys in the next one.